Hello, my name is METİN Arıdaşır. This is 396th part of explanation of my theory. Arıdaşır's mine free electron motion forms and proton-bound electron motion forms concepts and their mutual interactions result the birth of life, the birth of our living experiences as our observable universe, subjective reality. Yes, free electron motion form and proton-bound electron motion form are the two actors who caused our observable universe become visible. The birth of our life, and as the living experiences the subjective reality or observable universe, result of mutual interactions of these two motion forms. Strictly, I can say free electron motion form and proton-bound electron motion form are the two actors who cause this observable plural universe of ours to become visible as the interface of singular meta-sensation perception matter. Yes. Electron motion forms are not particles in the picture of plural world. In other words, in the picture of observable universe. Electron motion forms are intrinsic, immanent, three-dimensional, spherical ring with their directional motion axis ring-shaped, repetitive, perpetual motion forms of vacumless, frictionless, invisible. We cannot see it directly. Frictionless meta-sensation perception matter, eventually matter. No field, it is not field, it is not ether, it is not particle, there is no vacuum. Yes. Electron motion forms are unique light sources in our universes. The facts, not phenomena as visible. The facts that are there in singular meta-sensation perception matter reality are reflected in our living experiences, observable plural universe or subjective reality differently and pluralistically. Again, this is important. The facts that are there in singular meta-sensation perception matter reality are reflected in our living experiences differently and pluralistically. Don't forget that our living experiences, our sensations and perceptions as observable universe, as plural world, is only reflected as the interface of singular meta-sensation perception matter, which is dynamic but remains as itself. It has intrinsic motion forms. Like what? Like electron motion forms. My science, my physical science, in a view, is motion science, not particle science only. My science is motion forms science. Invisible Motion Forms science. Okay. Yes. This reflection actualizes when meta-sensation perception matter encounters meets itself by means of mutual interactions of its intrinsic motion forms, in other words, its electron motion forms. Now, free electron motion form. 1. A free electron motion form perpetually repetitively produces and propagates intertwined, interconnected spherical ring-shaped three-dimensional waves which are differ from point particle oscillations as electric and magnetic waves. Electric magnetic waves. Point particle, point charged particles oscillation. Wrong. 2. Free electron motion forms are the sources of effective consecutive light waves. When a free electron motion form relocates its wave point velocity, wavelength point energy, point mass, etc., change depend on its motion direction, orientation, and velocity without changing its frequency. So, in these conditions, all of the continuous spectrum sources are free electron motion forms. 3. Free electron motion forms are determinative for all absorption-emission processes. Absorption, proton-bound electron motion forms. Expansion, emission, shrinking proton-bound electron motion form. While shrinking, push out a single wave pulse. Again, free electron motion forms are determined for all absorption-emission processes which produced in atoms as spectral lines or characteristic lines. All stars are the sources of free electron motion forms. Without free electron motion forms, effective consecutive waves and electron motion forms, atoms and atom-bound electrons cannot emit light. In a universe without free electron motion forms would be a universe without light, gravitation, heat, temperature, without light. Proton-bound electron motion form. 1. A proton-bound electron motion form cannot produce the light spontaneously. For doing this, it always needs consecutive waves of free electron motion forms, or needs pressure changing between inner and outer adiabatic mediums. No spatial limit. 2. A proton-bound electron motion form can only connect with one proton in an atom without electrical or gravitational interaction. A proton-bound electron motion form connects with a proton by making axial, cyclical, joint motion and tangential speed of this joint motion is 1,884,000 km per second, 6.28 times greater than the speed of light. There are no action at a distance between proton-bound electron motion form and proton. 3. A proton-bound electron motion form can expand and shrink under the influences of free electron motion forms consecutive waves at the rate of these waves squared number. While shrinking, proton-bound electron motion form produce and push out a specific single wave pulse which is spherical ring-shaped and expands at the speed of light. Each specific single wave pulse corresponds to a specific spectral line of an atom. Each characteristic line of an atom comes from a specific single wave pulse. I remind you my formulas. Arıdaşır's my new spectral predictive formula for each atomic spectral line wavelength extracted in non-probabilistic, indeterministic way. My previous videos, okay, remember. Eventually, our life, our living experiences as our observable universe or subjective reality occur as the results of mutual interaction between free electron motion forms, consecutive waves, and proton-bound electron motion forms of meta-sensation perception matter. And for instance, remember my vision theory. If our proton-bound electron motion forms in our retinas. Atoms were not produce and push out single wave pulses under the effect of free electron motion forms consecutive waves. If our retinal proton-bound electron motion forms were not didn't produce light pulses, vision cannot be actualized. Have a good afternoon. See you later.